Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma with PJamma Life. And today we have a bunch of good stuff to celebrate the Olympiad. So, why don't I have the fellas introduce themselves? We have the guru of all things Star Wars, Mr. David. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody, and welcome. And also, I was 1,000 people shy of qualifying for the Olympics in ping pong. Yes, indeed. I attempted to try that, and I failed absolutely miserably. So I hope you're enjoying your Olympic trials here today.
Okay, and we have our professor of all things Marvel, Patrick. Say hey to the people.
Hey, everybody. I never tried out for the Olympics, but I did play Olympic sports, and the summer ones are the ones you do because in Kansas, winter's just too darn short and we're too darn flat to want to do anything but Summer Olympics sport. So there you go.
And it's me, PJamma, who's watched the Olympics since I was 3. So I'm very much a fan of the team. So we'll have a talk about that later. But first off, we're going to switch it up this week to celebrate all things sports in the Olympics. We are going to first review Space Jam, A New Legacy. So why don't we take a look at that?
Warner 3000. This will revolutionize the entire entertainment industry. And we want you to be on our team, King James.
What is this? Oh, I'm shorter than Kevin Hart. No. All I know is a computer dude kidnapped my son, and I have to play basketball to get him back. I need to assemble an elite team of A+ ball players to help crush this algae god. And I need to do it before that game clock runs down.
Hold up, Doc. So, you want me, a talking cartoon bunny, to play with you, an NBA superstar, in a high-stakes basketball game? Sounds awfully familiar.
Who are you talking to? But yeah, that actually sums it up well. Any of you play any basketball?
I say, how in the world did he get all these spectators here?
I don't know, but the line for the bathroom's gonna be insane.
Well, let's see. David looks very serious, so we'll start with him. What do you think of Space Jam, A New Legacy?
I got to tell you, it lost me at the beginning when it became the LeBron James infomercial. It was absolutely painful. And I love Bugs Bunny. I think he's one of the greatest Americans of all time. The opening absolutely sapped the life out of me to really enjoy this. The other one was a huge Michael Jordan infomercial too, but there was something so commercialized with this one, I left a little disappointed. The toys look good. The action figures look good. If you've been in your Walmart or Targets or whatever toy aisles you've been down, those look kind of fun. But the film just kind of left me a little bit. I like the old school animation more so than the computerized versions of our Warner Brothers characters. I think that bothered me a little bit. I think there was something very novel and innovative about the story, although I thought it was cool to see Don Cheadle. And it was a neat little spin on it, I think. But this was a not a great sequel. And while I don't have an issue with Jordan, LeBron, I don't have this great debate in my head, I didn't like having a LeBron James commercial open this movie. That was a little tiresome for me.
Okay, Pat, what did you think?
Well, I remember Hook being a lot different. It seemed to me that Robin Williams was in Hook, and they did it totally different this time with, it was Hook. Oh, my son, he hates what I do for a living. I'm going to tell him he's not doing the right thing. It was Hook. It was totally Hook. It was Hook with horrible acting. Okay, LeBron James, when they put him as an animated character, he was animated. But when they tried to do him live action, it was painful to watch. Painful to watch. And then hey, let's show off the fact that we've got property rights to everything. It was not only an advertisement for LeBron James, it was an advertisement for Warner Brothers Studios theme parks. Let's go see Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Let's throw some of that in there. Oh, look, the Batman stuff. Let's throw that in there too. I mean, I just couldn't care. And like I said, and Ready Player One. Thank you very much too, very much so. And I like I said, I've seen Hook before, and I thought it was a lot better with Robin Williams than it was with LeBron James and Dustin Hoffman. Don Cheadle, best thing in the movie. I mean, by far. But even he was so constrained by the horrible script. Yeah, it was. I'm glad I didn't pay for it. Let's put it that way.
Well,
it wasn't Mortal Kombat bad. You're right. It wasn't Mortal Kombat
come
bad.
on, boo. I guess I liked it a little better than the two of you, which is, I'm surprised. But I did feel like it was a movie geared toward gamers, and I'm not a gamer. So some of the references and stuff, I didn't quite get. And I did think, I didn't mind so much that they threw in the Warner properties. I thought that was kind of an innovative way they did it in sometimes, because if you looked in the audience shots at the game, you could see different different characters from different movies from different time periods. And so I thought that was kind of cool, but they did kind of go, we did do the Matrix, right? We did do Harry Potter, right? So I wasn't mad at that. The script, it wasn't great, but kids would love it. So it's not really like, I felt like it wasn't really for me. It was for kids and gamers, and it was a lot of 80s references. So I appreciated that. And Don Cheadle as a bad guy, it was kind of good, but the director is Malcolm Lee, and he's Spike Lee's cousin. He did Undercover Brother and The Best Man, and like several great movies. I don't know if this is one of his best movies, but kids would get it. Kids would love it. Just like back in the day, kids loved Space Jam. And, these kind of things are built for them. It was a bigger commercial intermixed in between it. But I think for the audience it was going for, they would probably like it. I mean, I didn't expect, something great. And I didn't get that, but I didn't get, something terrible either. So, but I did like Lola Bunny. I liked her character. I thought it was more of a new age kind of Lola Bunny that fit better in the script. So I appreciated it. I still don't know what the red furry thing is. I don't know that monster kind of thing. I've seen him. I think I've seen him in the Looney Tunes cartoon. But
it was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was Mr. Hyde with the Dr. Jekyll in Looney Tunes.
Okay. That one I was kind of like, And then in the end credits, there's a funny scene where Foghorn Leghorn is kind of crying, looking at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles sign. So I thought that was kind of cute. But overall, kids might like it. Discerning adults, maybe not so much.
Pam, you are such a liker. You like so much. I have never heard you pan anything, even when things rightfully deserve to be panned.
You need to go back and look at some of these videos, because there are some absolute things I despise. And
just time travel. Yeah, that's it. Time travel.
That does top the list. So, and when we're talking sports, let's take a couple of minutes and talk about Tokyo Olympics are here. And I'm excited. I've always watched them. My sister used to make us try and do flips. The thing, and we would do tumbling and flips and try to do gymnastics and usually end up breaking something. I remember, now this is going to date me, but I do remember Mark Spitz winning his gold and like all the great moments. So let's take a quick moment since we're a movie review show. Are there a few Olympic style movies that you have liked, or sports kind of movies that you've liked over the years?
Oh yeah.
My favorite is Blades of Glory.
Oh my God, we agree on
That's a
something.
funny one. I love Blades of Glory. That's one of my favorite in the funny category. And then a more serious one that everybody should read. It's just an amazing documentary called Icarus. It won the Oscar a couple of years ago, but a guy went to make a documentary of kind of after the Lance Armstrong scandal, and he wanted to talk about doping in cycling, and went to Russia to talk to somebody about cycling, and the program ended up exposing the whole Russian doping scandal. And so it's a brilliant one. So that one, and I, Tonya, I really liked. And I think we had to watch Chariots of Fire at church, at like Vacation Bible School or something. What about the two of you? What have been your favorites over the years?
Blades of Glory is the best Olympic movie ever made. We're skating to one song and one song only, My Humps. What does it mean? Nobody knows, and it's provocative. So yes, that was absolutely the best. I mean, you got John Heater in his best role since Napoleon Dynamite. You got Will Ferrell just being Will Ferrell, awesome. And then you got Amy Poehler, and Will Arnett.
Yes.
As the siblings that are kind of creepy, but just the evil siblings. So good all the way around. One the best Olympic movie made. Now, I was going to say if you wanted to have a serious one, I would probably say Chariots of Fire, and I would tell you why, because it was beautiful. It was a beautifully shot film that was gorgeous to look at, and had that Vangelis soundtrack that is iconic. So there's that. But definitely Blades of Glory though.
Mm-hmm. How about you, David?
I would say, I have to chuckle Blades of Glory. I do think the movie about the Miracle on Ice, the 1980.
Miracle.
Is really well done. Kurt Russell really just brings, everybody does, but Kurt Russell especially brings that coach to life. And the true miracle to have real amateurs going up against, professional athletes that was the Soviet team at the time. I think that speaks volume. In terms of a sports movie, though, I think I have to move away a little bit from the Olympics. When my all-time favorite of those would have to be Hoosiers, which was a fictional account of the Milan Miracle, the actual team back in the 50s that had won. Love Hoosiers. Gene Hackman does a superb job. And and also with going into the game of basketball, Hoop Dreams. The documentary that really followed two young men as they pursued their dreams, having some challenges along the way, but really was a great eye-opening piece to show high school and AAU ball and college recruiting in the late 80s, the early 90s. If you know the game, there are people that pop up, coaches, media, players. It's a wonderful thing that really speaks to America and the socioeconomic issues that are impacting communities. So those are three that just really stand out to me.
Yeah, so go check those out and have some fun while you're looking at and cheering on Team USA in the Olympics. USA, USA. Okay, that's my one thing I love about this time of the year is the Olympics. So moving on. So our next series is I forget. We're gonna do the Bad Batch. Okay, coming up, the Bad Batch Infestation. I think that's the name. Okay, let's take a look at some of the Bad Batch.
Sid's out. This parlor and Ord Mantell are now my territory. But if you're looking for work, I might have use for you.
So you boys met Roland. Roland's trying to make a name for himself. This port's ideal for smuggling. Roland saw the value in it and took it. But we are taking it back.
We?
When we needed help, we came to Sid, remember? Now she needs help. We can't just walk away.
Start climbing, tough guys. It's how we're sneaking into my parlor to steal the spice.
Maybe they didn't hear it. You are out of your depth, Durand. Either you correct this grave mistake, or you and your entire family will experience what pain truly feels like.
Okay, let's go to the king of all things Star Wars. What did you think?
You know, I enjoyed this episode. One of the things that I liked about it the best were the background characters. The Bad Batch, you've got 4 unique clones, and there's some ups and downs with as we get to know them. But the strength of this show, I think, in many respects, has been the secondary characters. Rhea Perlman's character of Sid, I think, has been really a wonderful addition to the Star Wars world. I think seeing the Pikes again, we see them in the Clone Wars. We obviously see them a little bit in the Solo movie. They're good. I like that. And this Roland Hurst guy, the Devorian, who, it echoes a lot if you think back to the droid Star Wars cartoon in the 1980s with the Sig and with Seiss and Tig Fromm. He reminds me a little bit of Tig Fromm he's a young gangster on the way up, but maybe not that great at it. Clearly, I like the background characters. Love the interaction between Roland and Omega there in scenes. I thought that was really cool. So I have no idea where the show is going to end up. I think we have 2 or 3 more episodes before we close this season out.
Yeah.
But I do think the strength of this series as a whole are the background characters more so than this elite fighting group of clones, for better or for worse.
Yeah, Pat, what did you think?
There is some good. The background characters are like Dave says, some of the better parts of it. I did enjoy the way that Omega is obviously the moral compass of the clones. You see that coming out more and more when she's arguing not to kill the Roland character. She's the moral compass of all these people in there. And so I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go with that. Like you said, we got 3 episodes left. I suspect that you'll get another filler episode. Then you have a 2-part cliffhanger type of episode for the last end of it to kind of make you want to wait till next season. But, it was a good, solid episode. Nothing, spectacular, nothing revelatory, but, it was enjoyable. Absolutely. Always, every one of them I like so much.
Yeah.
Now, I may have to disagree a little because I think they're getting away from the main characters. They're calling them the Bad Batch, but so far there have been so many episodes not featuring them, as the main component, I think they should just call it Filoni Universe because I'm like, and like even Tech only gets like a couple of lines each episode now, and the other ones. So I'm like, they need to get back and help me stay attached to the Bad Batch as opposed to some of these side characters. And I'm starting not to care for Sid because that's not the first time she's kind of put Omega in a dangerous situation. And her character, I get it, but she's becoming too morally ambiguous. And not the way she keeps putting that child in danger, I don't like it. And I think that they take too much direction from Omega. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. And it's so many side stories. I don't know where it's going to end up. And I'm sure they have a really great job of, like wrapping things together. But this time I'm kind of like, are we going to get to them and their story? And how are they going to advance the story of the 4 adult clones as opposed to the child clone? So and I thought this was one of the darker, although the one thing I really like these Pike characters. I think they are super interesting. I enjoy the Pike. And I don't remember them from Solo. What did they do in Solo, David?
When they were in Kessel, the Pikes run Kessel. So when they landed and they had that opening scene, I forget the character's name, but that kind of Rombine looking head.
Yeah,
that's a Pike in the real world.
Okay. So. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that because I wasn't familiar with that. That's why we have the professor of all things Star Wars to give us those connections.
Now, but when you talk about Sid, though, remember Sid is a Trandoshan, which is a reptilian race. So by nature, she's cold-blooded. So if you're looking for something all that, warm and fuzzy from a reptile, I think you're trying to get some blue milk from a stone there.
Blue milk.
Criminal's gonna criminal. I don't,
Yeah, I guess. But it'll be interesting. And because I thought it was kind of dark. The Pike were just I shouldn't give it away. But they ended up not doing something, but I was like, oh, geez, now we got a kid hostage. We got somebody whose life is in danger. And I was like, wow, this is pretty deep. But I have to say, to include all of that they included in a 21-minute episode, and it was a cohesive storyline.
Yeah.
That is some hella good writing right there. So kudos to them for, still having brilliant storytelling. But I'm just wondering if this is a story of the clones, or is this just a way to introduce the larger Filoni universe? So, which is that's what they're going to do. That's fine, and then it could be anthology as opposed to an episodic show. So we'll see. Well,
it's clearly a bridge between Clone Wars and Rebels. They're kind of merging those pieces and kind of taking the eras. We're moving into that Empire. We are in the Empire era,
right?
The Empire that we know from right around A New Hope.
Yeah. So definitely check out this episode and see what you think. So, and get back to us about it. So let's carry on and take a look at the Netflix series Never Have I Ever, and it's executive produced by Mindy Kaling.
How is it possible
that this formerly ineffable nerd has 2 boys that are into her. Anyway, she was on a hot streak. She probably would have felt guilty if it weren't so exciting.
Why did we think we could pull this off? Eleanor, push me down the stairs, and then I'll go to the hospital and I'll hide.
But then, what if they both try to ride in the ambulance with you?
Damn it!
If everything went according to plan, Nirmala would be occupied for the next 6 or 7 hours, and Davy would be free to make some apology magic.
I recognize that car.
And is that your mom in there? With a guy?
Yep. That's the face of a girl who is realizing her mom is on a date. Yikes.
What are you gonna do at my funeral? Just have sex on top of my grave? I pray it's a closed casket.
So this was the second season of the surprise hit Never Have I Ever, which tells the story of Devi Vishkumara, who is a young Indian girl in high school whose father unexpectedly dies in front of her, and she has, of course, a traumatic experience where she psychosomatically loses the use of her legs. She then sees the hot boy in school and miraculously stands up to when he passes by her. So that was kind of the first season of Davy kind of getting Davy falling for 2 boys, and the hot boy kind of starts to have feelings for her, and her rival Ben, they eventually fall for each other. So kind of typical teen story, but with a lot about the Indian, South Asian culture included in the series, which really made it a little bit different. What did you all think? The second series that we watched was about Davy then now having 2 boyfriends. She's trying to juggle 2 boyfriends, but she's like a classic nerdy girl who this is not she ain't got those kind of skills. So it's about her navigating, still kind of dealing with the trauma of losing her father, and their family trying to heal and moving on, but of course stumbling along the way. So, but a lot of teenage stuff going on this season as opposed to last season. So what did you guys think of the show? We'll start with Pat.
Well, okay. I only saw, well, I didn't see the first season, so I had no experience in the first season.
Yeah.
I watched maybe 6 episodes of this season. I didn't get all the way through it because, life. But it felt familiar. Like I'd seen this before. And what I felt like I was seeing was shades of Bridgerton as far as, it wasn't in the same, time frame, which all the cool, but it was the same level, same kind of weird drama, people working against each other and working for each other and working again. It had that feel. And then it also had kind of a How I Met Your Mother feel with the constant voiceovers by John McEnroe, and there was some like supermodel did one episode, and it seemed familiar, but not revelatory in any way. It wasn't any sort of super cool new thing. It was junk food, which I love junk food most of the time, but sometimes if you're going there looking for something, like a healthy meal and you get a bunch of fries, well, the fries are good, but they're not very good for you. So, but it's the same fries every time. So it felt familiar, but it wasn't, it didn't pull me enough to say, I got to make time to watch all of this. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. David, what did you think?
Well, my first thought when I saw
Hiker,
when we clarified, discussed what we were gonna watch, and I realized Never Have I Ever. It's not like a horror show, and I got the concept of it. My first thought is, what's PJamma thinking? Why are we watching this? Why are we watching this? It's not zombies. It's not Marvel. It's actually really, really good. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this. I thought, now there's a quirky aspect with, as Patrick was saying about John McEnroe doing the narration, because if anybody can speak to the prepubescent or teen girl, it's John McEnroe.
Exactly.
So that's perfect. He speaks for a generation of young women out there everywhere. I thought this was a really fun story. I thought the characters were those that you could kind of relate to in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as a middle-aged man, I don't really care to have an actress portraying an underage girl saying something to the effect of, "I'm going to get railed and I'm looking forward to it," in one of the scenes. That made me feel a little awkward. I kid you not. I was looking to make sure that Chris Hansen wasn't knocking at my door when that particular comment was made. But I thought this was a really wonderful story. And I think that while, for me, I'm looking for good stories, not necessarily things that I can say, "Oh, this is me," or "This is I remember this as a kid," or I had something similar to that. It's just like, is it a good story? Yes. Are the actors, are the people doing a good job in their performances? Yes. And so I thought this was a very pleasant and shockingly surprised. They're 30-minute episodes, give or take. So they go by super quick when you're trying to avoid working on a computer-based training that you need to get done for your job. So I think this was a big win to watch, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and the couple of things that were funny to me, the mom, I'm like, this mom got skills. She had a fine ass husband, and then she's about to have a relationship with Common. I was like, this girl, she know how to catch all the good fish. So I just thought that was funny, because I was like, yeah, I'd be sad too with a fine ass husband like that girl. But I think and it was good to see, it's a beautiful multiracial cast, right? And but they deal with a lot of issues with high school stuff that goes on. So this season, Davy was a little bit darker than she was in the first season. And because she was teenage girls do really dumb, mean things sometimes. So there were some things she was doing that was like mean girl stuff. But, in high school, you get caught in these kind of traps and you do dumb stuff like this. But she had this, you saw each time she did something real dumb or mean, she had consequences for it. So I did like that message, and that there were a very interesting things about the South Asian culture, which I thought was good this season, that they brought another girl who was Indian into the storyline, because people need to see that. And so I really appreciated that, and I appreciated more so last season than this season. I think this season was a little weaker than the first season. I think this then just became a typical teenage drama, and I thought last season had more empathy and pathos, but it was the same thing. Now, because it was kind of complicated, the relationship that she had with who was the cute boy? Paxton Hall or Paxton Yashira, or what's his name? Paxton
And Ben, and was it Ben?
Paxton. Okay, so Paxton, he played her. I think he played, we can see as adults. I was like, he's playing her to the bone, Jack. And I just, I didn't, but, it's true to high school, and Ben's character, I don't know if they did him justice this season. So I thought it was, you rooted at times for one, and you rooted at times for the other. And that takes good writing, I think, to be able to have you switch, loyalties, or to make things not as cut and dry as, normal. So I thought it was an interesting series. I do think the first season was a lot better, but it's interesting to see what'll happen if they get renewed for a third season. So we'll see. Pat, take a look at the rest of the episodes. I think it'll be a nice surprise for you. And if you have a bad day, you can watch it. It's not going to like make you more depressed or angry. It'll make, it'll put a smile on your face, and it will, kind of let the day just roll off of you.
Okay.
In these times, everything doesn't have to be that serious. So that was one thing about the show is I could watch it, make dinner, I could do something and watch it and still enjoy it and not feel like a lot of negativity when it was done.
Yeah.
So definitely check out Never Have I Ever. I think it's a good time. It's a good time. It's like, on a hot day, a popsicle is good. It's good for you. So Dwayne DeMarcus, our buddy, says he's already missing Loki. Yeah, well.
Yep.
Yeah, this is not a Loki.
You gotta wait another year for that. So,
well,
but at least in the second season, so we can look.
Even more importantly, What If shows up August 11th, I think.
Yeah,
and that looks good. That looks so good.
We'll definitely.
What If?
It's
animated and it's basically alternate realities. Like, what if T'Challa was kidnapped by Yondu and goes off to space to be Star-Lord, basically, and there's all kinds of things, whereas Peggy Carter becomes Captain America rather than Steve Rogers.
Right.
There's some really cool stuff. The comic book it comes from, it was always into that, where it would like do weird mishmashes where, what if Ben Grimm wasn't the Thing, he became the Invisible Guy. They all got different powers and how it worked out. There was like all kinds of different. They would, what if Peter Parker saved Uncle Ben before, he got killed, and then he became a villain or something. I mean, there's all kinds of really interesting storylines that they would go down alternate reality, and what if this had happened? What if that had happened? Super awesome, and it's a great lead into where they're going with the multiverse of madness and the alternate realities from the branches in the timeline. All that stuff going to go together really nice.
And Chadwick Boseman, this is actually his last performance because he will be voicing the Black Panther in the series.
Oh wow!
Okay. So we'll get to hear his voice one last time, which will be awesome. And I think they have cast, just in some Marvel news, I heard that they're cast Michaela Cole as somebody in Black Panther. I don't know the character yet, but she's going to be in Black Panther too. So she is the star and writer of the fantastic I May Destroy You. Definitely, it's up for several Emmys. Definitely check it out. I believe it's on HBOMax, I believe. And if you haven't seen that series, it's tough. I mean, it's a tough show. It's about you watch it. It's brilliant. And we'll talk about that show and several of the others when we do and kind of our take on the Emmy nominations that'll come up. And we'll do that probably here soon. But that wraps it up for us today. Next week, we will have The Bad Batch. And we'll also check out Cosmic Sin on Netflix and The Woman in the Window on Netflix. So we got an action movie, a kind of suspense movie, and The Bad Batch. So some good talks. And then we'll kind of talk about, since next week we'll probably have a lot of sports in the finals for the Olympics. So we'll kind of talk about, kind of what we saw during the Olympics. So, and maybe there'll be a good scandal like there was at the Rio Olympics with Ryan Lochte's mama telling on him she couldn't find her baby. I hope it's a good, like a good scandal like that. Not like a COVID emergency scandal or something, but something hilarious and funny like that.
What an embarrassing gator he was. Oh my gosh.
Oh
Yes.
my God. His mommy told on him. That was the best ever. So come back and please, if you haven't and you like our show, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, PJamma Life. We're signing off. So why don't you guys say goodnight to the people? David, you want to start us?
I will. So long, everybody. And between now and the next time when we get together, when we look at cosmic sin, think about this question and answer it. Be ready to come back, audience, with this. Who makes more bad movies, Nicolas Cage or Bruce Willis? Stay tuned for that answer coming up.
It ought to be an interesting discussion. How about you, Pat?
Well, hard to follow that. I have no homework for you guys. Just everybody have a good time, watch some more stuff, and keep going to the movies if you can, and keep watching TV if you can.
Well, one thing I heard in the Olympic anthem was, and these words just kind of stuck out to me, I thought they were really beautiful, was unite, inspire, have honor. So remember those for this week and maybe throughout your life, and we'll see you next time on PJamma Live. Bye.
See you guys.
So long, everybody.